Hello, everyone. This is Indie Comics Explained, and yet again, I brought on Marvin. Or this week, I brought on Marvin because we're talking to retailers. We're talking to a game retailer this week. See, I told you, Marvin, I was not ready for this. I was not ready,
Right.
not at all, not a little bit. You know,
We're here to splash water in people's faces, cold water, and get them ready for the week.
yes. All right. So, without further ado, let's bring on our guest. How you doing, Greg?
Hey, I am doing great. How are you doing, JD?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So, please introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Greg Gage. I have had Black Cat Comics for 20 years. That is 2 decades of dedication and struggle, but worth it. Yeah, we're now, I guess we're the longest single owner owned comic shop in Utah. I guess that's the way to put it. Yeah, everybody else is sold back and forth and everything, and I've had this place for 2 decades now.
All right, cool, cool, cool. All right. So, Marvin, would you like to start the interrogation? I mean, the questioning.
Oh, my younger days come back now. Okay, great.
Right. Well, before we jump into serious questions, like you were saying that you've been in business for 20 years, like what sustains you to want to be own a comic shop for 20 years?
I mean, obviously, first and foremost, it's the love of the medium.
Mhm.
We all love comics. Like we were saying before, that's why we're there. We're not there for fame and fortune. We're not there to be, have an AMC deal. A couple people get it. Hey, good for them, man. But I think pretty much everybody is in this because they love comic books. They love the art. They love the medium. They love the nostalgia of it. They love everything. And that's definitely why I'm there for sure.
Right.
Yeah, it's as you can see here, I kind of like this stuff. I got a few marks on me, man. But every time I think, hey man, I'm going to give this up, I look at my arms and everything, and I'm like, no man, I'm dedicated. I'm there. This is permanent.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's just as crazy as it's just that simple. I love this stuff. I think what has helped my store through a lot of things is we really focus heavily on back issues, which a lot of places don't really want to do because, let's be honest, it is not super fun. It's a lot of work. You got to grade them, you got to price them, you got to put them out. But honestly, that's the thing that sustained me and kept me going through COVID and through the pandemic and the shutdown. Because I actually had a good inventory and I didn't have to rely on that new stuff that just wasn't coming out. But yeah, I think shops have to adapt. I definitely have. I didn't used to really do a lot of graded stuff or CGC stuff. I didn't used to do pops because the beady little eyes creeped me out. And I just didn't fully understand, the phenomenon that was pops, really. But yeah, you have to change, you have to grow, you have to change, you have to adapt, and you have to stay on top of trends. And I think a big thing that we've done that has kept us around is we price fairly. I do not use fair market value. I don't use eBay. I don't use Key Collector. I use Overstreet, and I think that's a fair price. And that's what we price everything at. And then we take 10% off the top of that.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, nice. All right. So here's something like I don't know if Marvin explained it to you, but we're here to just because my whole thing is I'm an independent publisher. Marvin's an independent publisher, obviously. And I'm just curious, how much of your business is indie comics? Would you think is, that portion of your business?
At my store, because I concentrate on comics. That's all I do. I don't do gaming. I don't do cards. I don't do, stuff like that. So I'm actually able to go through those previews catalogs a couple times a month, make sure I get everything there. I mean, I would say probably a good 40% of my business is independent comics.
Nice.
That is changing. We have an upheaval in the retail world here in Salt Lake. There's a place that's moving, and they are moving downtown. So a lot of their customers are coming into my store now, and they're very superhero oriented. So like yesterday, I just sat there. I was like, why the hell do we sell out of Batman? I haven't sold out of Batman for a year. This is insane. And then I looked, and I've opened, 15 holds in the last week. So I'm like, oh, okay. And probably 10 of them have Batman on. So
Right.
I do have to adjust to that. I have to do some reorders. That's a little tough. I mean, I'm thinking probably by the time the dust settles with the move of the other store, I'm going to say probably 50-50 independent and mainstream stuff. And by independent, I'm still counting Image because it's creator owned, counting Dark Horse and Boom, which are not technically independent.
Did he freeze?
Oh yeah, I thought that was me.
Oh no, he's freezing.
All right, he'll come back in a second.
Okay. So I mean, that's cool that he's saying that he's thinking that he'll go up to 50-50 indie and then mainstream. That's I mean, how many shops would you say would are going to say that when we go on this journey of stores?
Yeah, I mean, usually I'm figuring around 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was already over that mark before he said the other store was moving though. So
yeah. No, but that's good though, because the thing is like, it gives us hope.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that we keep hearing the gloom and doom, but it's just like one of those things where it's just like, where are we sitting, as far as independent comics, So yeah, man, yeah. And that's the one thing we need, because we need. Oh, he fell out. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I'm back.
You're back.
I think the gods at Disney heard me say I'm not selling a lot of Marvel. Something happened there. My God.
Something happened there.
Anyway, I don't know if you caught the end of what I was saying, but I was just saying I think that by the time the whole thing shakes out, we'll probably be about 50-50 between indie and major publishers. Image, IDW, Dark Horse, Boom, stuff like that is still considered to be independent. Mostly because it's creator owned stuff. So that's kind of where my I hold that is if you own your own stuff, it's still kind of independent, I feel.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now, do you think that's because obviously a lot of areas are different, right? So do you think that's because maybe in your area just people are just looking for things that are different, or is that a culture maybe you cultivated in your store?
I think to an extent I cultivated a little bit of it because I really love independent comics. I love different things. I love different stories, different characters. I love things that have that matter. They have some gravitas. It's like if somebody dies, they're dead.
Right.
If a universe is destroyed, it's destroyed. There's no coming back if it's an independent comic for the most part. I love Wolverine. I love the X-Men. I love Spider-Man, but they're never going anywhere. There's not like a lot of, there's not a lot of stress there. Like it doesn't matter if they die, they're coming back. It doesn't matter. And I've been getting more into independent stuff and more into, different things because I think there's only so many stories you can tell with these legacy characters. And it's nice to see different things. And also, as I said, we only do comics. So I think people come in and see things that they didn't even know existed. Right. If you go deep into previews, you're going to find a lot of cool stuff. And, somebody has a hold for, something is killing the children, or if they have a hold for, some horror title that Marvel's doing right now, and you go deep into previews and you find something that sort of relates to that. I'll always try people on things. I'll put them in their holds and say, hey, are you interested in this? Do you want to check this out? And for the most part, people are open to it, at least to read it, at least to try one issue. And that's what I think is important, is doing stuff like that. And I think that might have something to do with it. But also, I think there's a lot of, I guess, what you would call mainstream burnout on things right now.
Do you think that
people are like, well, we've got. Oh, let's go ahead.
Do you think that has something to, because this is something I discuss all the time on other podcasts. Like, I've been around for a while, right? So I started self-publishing in '92. And one of the things, I'm a '80s kid, right? So I was there for John Byrne's run, Walter Simonson's run, Frank Miller's run on Daredevil, Thor, so on and so forth. And I was just wondering, do we have any of those? I think he froze again.
It's frozen again.
I think so. so anyway, so I'll continue anyway. But I was just wondering, Marvin, I mean, even if you want to answer this or think about it, like, do we have any of those like runs happening now at Marvel or DC, right? Do we have Teen Titans? Do we have a strong Teen Titans run out there?
Well, I would say no, because that stuff was organic back then. Now
Right.
it seems kind of forced, because they're setting up their new events the year before while the other event's going on. So you got like say, I'll just make up a title, Marvel Twilight is going on. At the same time, they're already planning Marvel end of times or something.
Right.
Oh, back again.
How you doing, Greg?
I'm back, man. I'm glitching. Something's wrong. Sorry.
Because I have you on too. Look, I have you here. Okay, now you go.
Everywhere.
Yeah, this one's much better. Yeah.
All right, cool.
So what? I'm sorry. What were you asking?
I don't know how much of my question you heard, but my question was basically like I said, I'm an '80s kid. I was there for John Byrne's run on whether it be X-Men or Fantastic Four, Frank Miller on Daredevil, Walter Simonson on Thor, Marvin and Perez on Titans. Do we have those runs coming out of Marvel and DC these days? You understand? I mean, I'm not obviously not those, but an equivalent.
Yeah.
Jeff Johns did his thing on Green Lantern a few years ago. I'm just starting to read those. Like I just literally started reading them.
Yeah, Twilight.
I don't know that we do. I don't think we do.
Right.
The problem with that is we can't get those runs because they just keep rebooting and relaunching and everything. I mean, She-Hulk just ended on issue 12. Spider-Woman just ended on issue 10. And they're like, oh, they'll be back in this. And it's like, well, why you bring them back? Just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every time they get a new creative team, they seem to reboot. And I think that we're getting some weariness from the readers with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I don't think they're giving them a chance to make those runs like they used to.
Right.
Those used to be amazing runs. The Byrne stuff on Fantastic Four was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a huge Fantastic Four guy, but I'm definitely a huge Byrne Fantastic Four guy.
Right.
And they don't let people get to know the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure if they bring the right people in at the right time either.
Right.
Because they bring people in that don't know those characters usually.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of the time they seem to find the cheapest people they can, that they don't have to pay a lot. And they just say, here, just go, run with it, just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't, it's not fair to the creators. It's not fair to the readers. They just don't have the time to get there and do what they need to do. It's really tough to do.
I mean, when you say that, you think of like a Jim Lee. Jim Lee didn't start on X-Men. Like they didn't just have Jim Lee X-Men out the door. You used to be able to have to earn your right to be on a flagship book.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't seem like a lot of the guys like I like it was a couple of years ago. I picked up a couple of Avengers books, and I'm like, the art was bad, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And Avengers was supposed to be your flagship book, and you're not putting your best talent on your number one book. and you expect people to pick that book up every month and pay their hard-earned money of $4 or $5 for that, and it doesn't look good.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I think another big problem is the abundance of titles.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Marvin, you've seen the podcast that Eric and I do a lot. You're usually there every week checking it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know that's kind of a pet peeve of mine is you can't expect people to buy 15 Batman books at $5 a pop every single month. It's not going to happen. People are not going to do it. You know, you can't expect people to buy 10 or 11 Star Wars books or 10 or 11 Spider-Man and Spider-Man related books. You need to cut that down. You need to cut the cover prices down. You need to cut down the sheer amount of books that you have. And I think you need to really focus on the reader again instead of the shareholders. And I think that's where a lot of the major publishers go wrong, is they're trying every 3 months to pump out as much as they can. So their shareholders will be like, yeah, okay, I'll buy another share.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, we'll keep investing. We're not going to sell off.
Right.
And the thing is, if you just concentrate on the fans and you concentrate on the books and the characters and the quality, I really think that your shareholders would be happy because you'd be selling so much more. You know, you'd be. I don't know anybody, if there were 2 Batman books at $2.99 cover price every month. I don't know anybody like.
I think it's his video. When he comes back, maybe tell him to turn his video off.
Probably.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I mean, what he's saying is that, to me, I think that a lot of those, like, you could have Amazing Spider-Man, but then they have that Spider-Boy book. Why isn't like Spider-Boy just a backup book in Amazing Spider-Man? Like 4 pages from Spider-Boy could go into Amazing Spider-Man, and you're giving someone something, and then you're giving the illusion they're getting something for free. So we'll give you 4 backup pages of this other book you might not be reading, and then you just collect it into a trade later.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to, like, they used to do that where it's like Marvel Team Up or something like that, where it's you're giving somebody 1 or 2 stories, or Marvel 2-in-1, and you're saying, hey, here's a backup story for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and also the thing is like, you know, they gave up on books like Marvel Fanfare, and even books like you said, like Marvel 2-in-1, Marvel Team Up, where those are books where they would try out new guys, you know, new creators, you know, where they got a chance. Or like, what was the other one? Marvel. There was a series where it was almost like an anthology, and it always had like,
Marvel Comics Presents.
Yeah, I think that was it. Hold on, Greg back. There you go, Greg.
All right, I just went outside. The basement's not working. I'm so sorry about that.
Like we're catching all different aspects of your. I don't know if that's your house or your business. I don't know where you're at. So
it's my house. I mean, I feel like you know my whole house now.
If that fails, you try the roof. Maybe on the roof is where you're.
Yeah, there you go. All right, go to the neighbors. I don't know, something. No, what I was saying again is if there were 2 Batman books that were $3 cover price, or even 4, and there was only 2 Batman books, I don't know anybody that likes Batman that wouldn't be buying both.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I feel like they're splitting their audience and their profit. It's like when people say to me all the time, hey, you should open another store. I don't want to open another store. Why would I do that? Mm-hmm. If I open another store, you know, west or
maybe when he comes back, just tell him to turn his video off. I think maybe he'll be able to stick around for that. Yeah. So we were saying about, like, Marvel Comics Presents was the other one. Remember they ran a like, before Wolverine had his own book, he like took over Marvel Comics Presents for like 6 issues. Like they did like a limited series. He was when he did Patch, that's where Patch came from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you could do, like I said, an anthology book where a characters take over that book for 3 issues, and then you move to something else and you give someone more bang for their buck. But I mean, it just doesn't feel like they're interested in doing any of that anymore. And it's just throw it against the wall, whether people buy it or not, we don't care. Let's just get to our next event.
Mm-hmm. You think he'll show up on the roof?
Yeah, he's going up on the roof now, getting his ladder.
That's gonna be hilarious. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, it's a shame because I mean, I like a good superhero comic, you know. That's why when reading.
Okay, so I'm on the roof now. No, that's.
we were wondering. We were like, "He's gonna be on the roof now."
Yeah, you might turn your video off. That might that might be using up your bandwidth because you have your video on.
Or are you on your phone?
Yeah, he's frozen again.
I think he froze. You might want to try his roof.
Yeah, Salt Lake City probably they don't have good Wi-Fi. Yes.
Guess not. That's crazy. But he does a podcast.
He does it in the store.
Oh, he does it
in the store. Yeah, maybe you should drive down to the store and then it'll be okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's him and Eric, the Rogue Trader, and it's called everything's late but no one died, or I think is the title, and it's just random topics they do like once a week on Thursday. I think it's Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, in the store. So again, if you're going to contact these stores, Thursday is probably the best day to call somebody, because I would not do it especially on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Mondays are probably off because most stores are closed on Mondays now. And Friday is probably one of the busiest days in the store. So, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays is when you want to communicate. If you're contacting the store to either tell them your books and previews, or to let them know that you have something available for direct. So that's actually how I met Greg. It was in 2020, and that's when I was compiling the list, and I called him, and he was the person. I talk about the person who said that if I wouldn't have called, he would have probably skipped it in the previews. That was Greg.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, especially in the one good thing is to hear is that he actually goes through the previews. Because you talk to some retailers, they don't even go through the whole catalog.
Yeah.
And I mean,
probably there's things in the front, and then like the rest of it is like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they might make it through Dynamite,
Yeah.
Well, now they have to go a little bit deeper. They have to get through Dark Horse, because Dark Horse used to be in the front, but now they're in the back because they left.
Yeah.
But yeah, they might get that far, but they're not going to get into the back of the catalog where the rest of us are at, or Antarctic Press, or any of these other Fantagraphics, or any of those other companies are at.
And it's funny sometimes is there are, depending on how many books we have that month, it'll be because we're CO, so it starts on one page and then goes on to the next page. And some people skip that. So I'm like, it's on this page. He goes, well, I went to that page. I didn't see it. Like, did you turn the page? It's probably on the other side of the page you didn't look at. But I mean, I understand. I get it. That catalog is unwielding.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Yeah, it's like I like the digital version, the website better than I do the catalog itself, because it's easy to search, because you can just go on there, put in the name of the publisher, and it just gives you up everything that's available, and then things that were available in the past. So you can actually do your back orders, your reorders from that page in there too. But not everybody uses previews. Some people use Comics Hub, or they use Managed Comics, or they use other tools like stuff that's connected to Shopify. So, or Legion of Comics. Legion of Comics is the one that's just giving us the most trouble, because someone has to manually load that data into their system.
Gotcha.
So they're not cool.
I mean, listen, I personally like the physical catalog.
Yeah.
Because I flip through. I'm telling you, I go through it. I get it on the Wednesday it comes out. I look at it that day. I go through the whole thing, except the toys. Like I don't look through the manga. I don't look through the manga. I don't look through the role playing game, and the toys I might give a quick skim.
Okay.
But the comics, I go through the whole thing, and I pick up the Marvel preview catalog, the DC preview catalog just to go through their trade paperbacks, see if they have coming on hardcover. Fortunately, for the last 2 months, they haven't been putting out anything that I want, which is good. Yeah. Because what it is now, whenever I buy from Marvel DC, it's either a compendium or an omnibus.
Yeah.
So the compendiums aren't so bad as far as pricing, but omnibuses are expensive. And that and I'll buy them. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
So this is now the random part of the show where we just talk about something for the next 30 minutes or so.
Well, look, I mean, you're in previews currently.
Yeah.
Right. And right. I saw that there's the Edges in there. What's the other book that's in there?
Daisy Chain. So this is the second print of Daisy Chain. It was a big mover for us. The original release.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a second print of that, and that's available right now. So like Paige is saying, they're supposed to be in stores in November 20th. So they're in previews now. So I can drop that link.
Yeah, put that in there.
But yeah, I mean, I think that when I used to flip through the catalog, you used to get it for free. Like when you used to walk into the store, they used to hand it to you. They'd be like, "Yeah, take it." Now what is it, $4?
It's like $4. Yeah, it's for what it is. It's relatively inexpensive.
Yeah. I mean, for the size of the book in full color, charging $4 for that is pretty good, considering that like a comic book with less pages, it's the same price. So how does that work?
Yeah, or sometimes more expensive.
Yeah.
Well. We know what they charge for advertising. That's why.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how you get over on that. So I mean, and in our world, like maybe that's what we probably should do is like try to get as much ads as possible into the books, and then we could charge $1 or $2 and get them into dollar stores like JD's been trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, is that before, like we've been trying other avenues to get comics into spaces where people are. So barbershops, coffee shops, grocery stores. Like I just go and I just send emails and I call people and I just like, hey, we've got comic books. Would you be interested in putting some on your countertop or a space in there? Like we'll get you a stand or a spinner rack. So just speak like the guy who does the Wham stands, Matt. He has spinner racks, so we can grab some of those and put the Whambles on those, and people can jump up, spin it around, and like it'll be like the old days.
Right.
We used to walk into anywhere in any store everywhere would have comics in it, and it's really a shame that the space has shrunk down to like Walmart. Sometimes in Target, I've seen comics sometimes, or what you call it, Ollie's, and then comic shops. This is the only place that you can get these things, and it's kind of detrimental because to me it seems like it's linked to the literacy rates dropping in this country. It's like comics aren't like something that's handed to someone to read.
Right. Well, I mean, manga is still there, obviously. I mean. And you have stuff like Dogman and all that stuff, but the problem I think is when they grow out of Dogman, right? I don't think they're necessarily going straight into manga, right? But they're not necessarily going straight into comics either.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, where is that gap? DC's doing something interesting where they're producing those digest size. Comics where the trades, and they're pricing them at like $10 and they're full color, and they're releasing like Watchmen and I guess some other runs that are good. So that's interesting to see how that program plays out. But it's going to see like how hard are they going to push it, right? And it would be interesting if Marvel would do something similar, because one of the things that I heard over the last few years is one of the creators who've seen a boost in their sales from their reprints is John Byrne. And they say like his Fantastic Four run and his X-Men run, right? People are looking at them and they're like, and I guess the younger generation, they're new to his stuff, so they look at like, I guess the way his faces are drawn, and maybe they see a little bit of manga in that. I don't know. It's weird. And they're like, oh, okay, so and they jive with that a little bit more. So it's interesting, if they were to start putting those books out and they curate it in a proper way, right, and put them out inexpensively to get people hooked, to get them in, but that's on them. In the end, I mean, we got to worry about ourselves and what we're doing.
Right. I mean, and that's where everything ends and everything begins. And that if they're unwilling to do those kind of things, how can we kind of put our foot into that space and grab the attention of those readers?
Right. Hold on. Let me pull this up. Cool. There you go.
Right. So I mean, this is what I was saying before about how you can just like pull the drop down and just go right to a publisher, and it gives you everything that's in previews for that month.
Right.
So it just makes it easier to me if I'm trying to point someone to something, instead of having them flip through the catalog. Hey, go here. But if your store is not using previews to order their books, then it gets complicated because the codes aren't the same.
Mm-hmm. Now Marvin dropped out, so now I'm here by myself. This is fantastic. So since I'm here by myself, let me do this. There you go. All right, how you doing, everybody? So I'm gonna do this real quick. I'll pull up this campaign. This is a campaign that I'm not even a part of. This is Blackheart and Valentine. Oh, Marvin's back. Look at this. I thought I lost you too.
Yeah, what the heck is going on?
I don't know. That wasn't me though. What's funny is you were gone. I was like, well, if he's gone, I'm gonna talk about something I want to talk about. So, like I was saying, this is a book called Blackheart and Valentine. This was a book Bill Willingham he'd written. This was late 90s, 98, 99, somewhere in that area. He had done a book called Pantheon, and this is a spin-off from that. And this was published by Lone Star Comics. It was Bill Williams. And you might know Bill Williams. He does a book called Punchline with Antarctic Press currently. And I think he worked with Bill Willingham on some of the stuff over at DC. I'm not sure though. He'll be on next Sunday, so we can talk to him. But this is his campaign. This is a reprint. Bill wrote it. It's been colored. It's doing okay. He got another 13 days. He got a couple $100, so he'll be at his goal. But listen, guys, I'm hoping everybody, just go in there and check out this book. It was a lot of fun because there's other stuff that he had done with Bill that I would like to see him reprint. So if we could get this one over, but maybe we can get some of those other stuff, because I'd like to see the second volume of Pantheon reprinted. But
how was that not funded already?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think. I think Bill needs some help with the way he strategizes these things.
Yeah.
I don't think because I'm just like, how you hooked up with Bill Willingham and this isn't funded?
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay. And I think he spends a lot of his time on Twitter, because I had to reach him through Twitter, not through Facebook. So, which I thought was a little weird. So here, let me pull up. Let's present this. There we go. There you go, brother.
Yay.
All right.
That 2666 is weirding me out.
Look at you. Look at you. Want to play that video real quick?
Oh, yeah, let's go. Let's hit that. Let's hit that beautiful bean music.
Sir, the Revenant is back.
I have played a puppet far too long. First, you will suffer. Then, you will die.
We have to stop him.
Target in range.
When I give the order, storm the building.
We are in position.
Well. Looks like someone wants to play. No! Let's play. This isn't just a fight. This is war.
Looks like chaos is coming.
Nice.
I gets my blood flowing all the time. Gets the energy moving.
Gotcha. All right. Well, you're 67% of the way there. You got 46 baggage, 14 days to go. You're in a good spot.
Yeah, like I said, that it's doing good, but I always like to fund as soon as possible so you don't have to stress it out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I'm not complaining.
Gotcha. Now, this is volume 2. So, what issues are this covering? This is issue what, 5 through 8?
Yeah, 5 through 9.
5 through 9. Okay. How many pages?
It's up over 108, I believe, including the backup. So there'll be 3 backup stories. One with Blaine, one with Mystic, and one that we haven't announced yet. We're going to the plan wasn't to announce it the last week of the Kickstarter, but that's going to depend on if it's close to funding or not. So if not, then everything's still going to come out. I'll just announce things slower than I originally was planning to.
All right, cool. Now, what is it with these little these pharmaceutical?
So those are bottles of it's Octus Vis. So in the story of the book, there is a character, Marcus Drake. He is the CEO and owner of Drake Industries. They're a pharmaceutical company that are kind of downgrading the edge for commercial use. Mm-hmm. So it'll be medication that people will be able to get a prescription to, and then all hell is going to break loose on that.
All right, cool. All right, nice. Now, who's this? Is this a cover? What is this?
That is a print, and that's the original art. So the original art is a option to get on the Kickstarter. That was done by Jose Luis.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I think he's doing some stuff for DC. And then we unlocked issue 10. So issue 10 starts the new storyline, God's Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're still waiting to unlock the Revenant minifigure.
Nice.
So you can have a little Lego guy that's going to probably try to kill you in your sleep.
Nice. All right.
So you have to watch out for him. He's like Chucky.
It's like Chucky. Gotcha. All right. So look, I just might as well show off my campaign real quick. Here we go. Dreamweavers, number 1, 48 pages of monster thumping action, and with some sexy lady covers. So I got some sexy ladies. But to get down to the story, I have 4 kids. Whenever they go to sleep, they wake up in the bodies of their role-playing game characters. And, they basically just want to chill out, and they want to go watch professional wrestling. But they find out there are demons in the world, and they have to hunt these demons down and take them out before they end up taking over the world. So, and that's the Dreamweavers. And I keep saying this thing over and over again. So it's one of those things. It's like, so it's they have multiple personalities in these bodies. These kids are not just transmuting these bodies, like they're just not created from their imaginations. They're actually pulled from other dimensions. So these are actually other entities from other places, and they're pulling them in, and they just have a striking resemblance, very close to what their imagination is. So what's a fantasy in our world is reality in their world. So they're getting pulled into our dimension, but they have their own personalities. They're adults, and they have their own thing going on. So sometimes you will see their personality switch. The kids will sometimes get pushed to the background, and the adults will take over, and they'll switch back and forth. So, and that's a portion of the story that I found interesting as a writer. This is also something I started. What?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What happens to the children's bodies?
Oh, they're sleeping. They're in their beds.
Okay.
Yeah, they're literally like kids. They're asleep. Like
Right.
it's literally their consciousness is transported into those bodies. So, and
I'm just imagining a scenario where the children are transported to the bodies they're inhabiting to their worlds.
Right. No, yeah, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
That doesn't happen. It's just these guys get transported into our reality, and the kids are in their bodies, and the kids are running around doing all kinds of goofy stuff, like they're on the top of Madison Garden, and they're watching wrestling, and they're like, oh, they're like Hulk Hogan, and, all kinds of ridiculous stuff. They're having a good time.
Folding chair.
Exactly, and and it doesn't help that one of their parents is a professional wrestler. So,
Nice.
and they're just having a good time. They're kids, but like I said, they're demons in the world, and they got to fight them. So they get involved with that stuff. So it's a lot of fun. It's a 48-page book, full color, for the first time. It's a book I did in 1992 for the first time, and there you go. So, all right, Mark.
Did you have to redo any of the pages or anything to bring it up to current time, or is it still set in 92?
No, it's still set. It's pretty much set in 92.
Okay. I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's new now. Like, that's the thing now, where now that's like what is it? 30 years ago now. That's history now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Jose Luis did was the first artist on Critter.
Oh, cool. There you go. Yeah, but it's one of these things where it's just want to bring it back to life, because it was originally printed in black and white, so now it's in full color. I redid all of the lettering, so that was insane. But I think it was worth it. So we'll see. Campaign's going well.
Do you want to reslot Greg in for November? Because he said he'll do it from the store this time. I don't know if you saw his comment.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I did. Where was his? Was it on the?
Yeah, he said it's something about Comcast.
Gotcha. Yeah, Comcast. I've never heard a good thing about those guys. I'm serious.
Well, especially since they own NBC, Universal, and everything else too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've not heard anything good about those guys. I mean, about that service. What's funny is I know they love the Universal parks. I guess whoever's running the joint loves the Universal parks, and they take care of those parks, which is great. But when it comes down to that service, but yeah, we could definitely book them again, because it'll be good. And this time we're just gonna start with the indie stuff. We're gonna with the Marvel and DC crap. Right. We're just gonna go straight to the indie questions, because we didn't I really didn't get to get into it.
Well, I said that they don't seem to have any problem with the internet in the store, so maybe he lives like in the boonies. So there's no cell towers nearby or something. Right.
No, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, Marvin, let me ask you a question. So you're in the previews, right? How are you finding it these days? Are you finding it easier? Are you finding it more difficult? Like what going from something like Kickstarter to previews, like what was the biggest shift that you saw as a publisher?
Communicating. So, and like I said, that when I first started it, I communicated to as many stores as possible that we were going to be in previews, because previously, before we were in previews, when I contacted a bunch of stores, they would say, "Oh, yeah, the books look good, but I want to order from previews. I don't want to do direct." So once we were in previews, I recontacted all those stores and put them on the spot a little bit, saying that, "Oh, we're in previews now, so you're gonna put that order in, right?" But I think that's the biggest thing you have to do. Like with Kickstarter, you're generally communicating either with your list you already exist, a list you're creating, or you're communicating on social media. You're not going to call a store and say, "Hey, I got a Kickstarter."
Right.
So it became about building relationships with your partners, because that's what these stores are, your partners. And like we continuously get really good communication with all these stores, especially like a store like Bat City Professionals out of Florida. Like they do a show late Sundays where they talk about all the indie books that came into the store, and they always give us really good marks, and they say, because we send them swag and things like that, and they say how good we're partner we are with them, because that's what, like I said, that's what we are. We're partners with these stores because we're trying to give them something different. Like Greg was saying before, is that he's looking at his store becoming 50-50 mainstream and indie. That's huge.
Oh, it is.
Huge for indies, because he wants to have that space for those books. He's saying that I'd rather carry 6 or 7 indie books than another Batman book, because people normally aren't going to be interested in that Batman book, because there's so many Batman. How many books do you need? When this trivia start, how many Batman books do you need where it's just Batman beating up somebody and putting them in the hospital?
Right.
You need balance, and like Thanos said, balance, right? It's always about balance. You have to have both. You have to give yourself an opportunity. You have to grow. You have to change. You can't just carry one style of books, because when people get sick of that book, which they're eventually going to, you need to then deliver something else into their hands so you don't lose a customer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we don't have those stones, so we just can't snap our fingers and make half the Marvel and DC lines disappear.
Right. I mean, that'd be a fun thing to do, but at the same time, people still love those books, even though they would say, "I don't like it." They're still buying it, though.
I think those are completists. I
Yeah.
think there's such a heavy collector mentality. Those are completists. I mean, I was one of those for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I collected X-Men religiously for a long time, and it wasn't until like the stories started getting a little wonky for me that I gave up.
Right.
You know, and then once I was able to break that, you know, I could break away from just about anything. So it's just give up on that.
It kind of goes back to what we were saying before about them building events. So you're in an event and you're trying to build into another event. I mean, I do sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not really concerned about how that story ends, because whatever happened in it is going to be erased anyway, right? So you're going to give all the X-Men characters the power of the Phoenix. They're not going to keep it.
No.
So so what's like, and it gets to a point where your reader's going to be like, well, none of this, it doesn't matter. What's happening does, like Greg was saying, it doesn't matter if this character dies. They'll be back in 6 months. I mean, I was really surprised when they kept Jean Grey dead for almost 10 years.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I just, that's unprecedented, like, right? And now that you rebooted the Ultimate line, now Uncle Ben's back, right?
Yeah.
So again, it doesn't so that means that the only character, no, that's not true. I was going to say Martha. No, I'm sorry. What's her? Superman's mother is the only character that's ever stayed dead.
I think Craven stayed dead for a while, right? After Craven's last hunt.
Yeah, but then they eventually brought him back because. Yeah. So it's Lana Zor-El is the only character who's ever just stayed dead, because Martha Kent came back during the run where she was Joker.
Right.
She became the Joker. So I mean, if none of these things matter to the reader, then they're going to get tired of it after a while, I would think. Like, you can't just kill this character off to kind of sell the book and then bring them back 6 months later and say and bring it just forget a new number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's as indie books. So that's what we provide is that finality of it, because it's not going to go. We can't keep it up forever, and eventually someone has to win and someone has to lose and someone has to go away.
Yeah. I mean, look, like I said, I'm reading Jeff Johns. I just finished reading the first volume of Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, right? Enjoyed the hell out of it, right? But I'm pretty sure I would rather read, what is it, Geiger?
Yeah.
And the other books that he's doing through Image than read Green Lantern. You know, but that's not going to stop me from reading Green Lantern. What?
Right. I mean, Emerald Twilight was a good story. But again, it took you took some things and you eliminated some things and you bought the characters back. You still like Hal Jordan died and you bought him back.
Yeah.
So again, it's like Superman died and you bought him back.
Well, in the story I read, he was a Spectre.
Yeah.
Right, and they brought him back. Yeah.
Yeah. He was dead. He came a Spectre, then they brought him back. So I mean, even when you had the Black Lanterns, they brought back the dead characters. And then some of them stayed alive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's how they recycle those characters.
Right.
I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of those creators don't even want to create new characters for them anymore.
No, that's honestly true because then they don't own them.
Right.
And I think that's detrimental because, like, you think of a character like a Gambit that Jim Lee created. And you can see that character in Grifter with the trench coat and everything else, where he's like, I like that character so much, and I want to continue using that character. And you notice that in a lot of Youngblood too, where most of the characters look like characters that came from Teen Titans. So
right. Yeah,
Rob Liefeld. So I mean, it's the fact that you created this character and you're like, man, I wish I could use that character. So let me just create someone who looks somewhat like him, and to see how long I can get away with. Like you had, there was a character that Rob did that was like Captain America, and then he ended up getting the rights. Was it Fighting American?
Yes, that was a Jack Kirby, Joe Simon character.
Yeah. Well, I thought he had another character that was similar, and then he ended up getting the rights to Fighting American.
Oh,
yeah,
probably.
Right, and then they had like some kind of court case where they said, oh, you can use the character, but he can't throw a shield.
So, that's weird.
So that's that kind of stuff. So you're trying to recreate something that you created and then trying to make money off of it when you can't make money off of the thing that you created for this other publisher. And then when these characters go to the movies, then they get a pittance of of the money that they like should get more of. And it's the reason why they don't want to use the Ultraverse characters, because they would have to then pay those creators to use the characters. So,
right.
So you've got characters like Prime. Like that's a really good character. It can be really influential at Marvel as like a child who becomes like Captain Marvel, that becomes a superhero, or like Rage is a small child, a superhero, and it's that fish out of water thing that you could be capturing and grabbing people on. And you're like, no, I'm not using that because I got to give somebody money.
Yeah. Or isn't Rune one of those as well?
Yeah.
The Barry Windsor Smith character. So I mean, and I think that's a really cool character that I think would mesh well with something like a line like Moon Shadow and Moon Knight.
Yeah.
And some of those other characters. I think, that would be a cool character to fit in with them, but I don't think they're gonna want to vary those royalty rates.
No way. So Paige, Kickstarter it's at 2,666. So I took a screenshot of that 266 so I can show it until it flips over. So still I think 14 days to go. So we're still in the ballpark. So jump on over there and get those pledges in.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and that's what I say is that we're it's a Sun Knight.
Let's add it. Moon Knight, Sun Knight.
You make a character called Sunday.
There you go.
But I mean, that's where we as indies, we bring something different to the table with that kind of stuff, because as I showed on earlier on Facebook, is that we have a wrestler, a real life person who's a wrestler in the Edge.
Right.
And I can do that because I own the book. I can do whatever I feel like. If I want to put a wrestler in my book that's a real person, I can put a wrestler in my book that's a real person. I don't have to ask anyone person but his. But it's like it's hard for them to do that, and you can go and do that kind of things because it's your book. You do what you want, but also we can take characters off the board. So like with my Revenant character, he's become one of the most popular characters, and I don't want him to become like a Harley Quinn or a villain that you're kind of forced into making a good guy so you can have them around more. I just like, so what? He just goes away for a while because I don't want him to be popular like that. It's my character. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. I have a weird character like that in Oswald too. So it's just like one of those things where it's just like everybody seems to like this character, but it's just like, nah, you can't. You know, he's evil. You know, you just can't have him. You know, yeah, he's kind of cool, but he's a royal shit.
Right, because then when they put Harley in Justice League and then she was in the Bat Family, I'm like,
right,
what are we doing with this character? Because she's a killer, and I like, why would these other characters trust her?
Not just a killer; she's a serial killer. I mean, she's like, you know,
right. And it goes back to a book I read a long time ago, Captain America Annual number 8. It's the one of my favorite covers. It's the one where Captain America is fending off Wolverine's claw strikes.
Okay. Yep.
And in that book, Captain America and Wolverine don't get along because Wolverine's a out of control psychopath. And at the end of the book, Captain America explicitly says to him, "The X-Men better not ever get tired of you because you will never be an Avenger." Never. and when like years later, when they did New Avengers, who was in the Avengers? Well, Captain America, Wolverine, because they were trying to make the Avengers the Justice League, where it's all the heavy hitters and not just people who mesh as a team. And I'm like, I think that's like one of the last Avenger books I ever bought, because it doesn't mesh. Wolverine is not an Avenger,
right? Yeah, and he's not someone, that Captain America would play well with.
Yeah.
You know, so. All right, Marvin, listen, man, we made it to our hour. So here we are, brother. You know, our guest had dinner problems. It happens. You know, Greg, thank you for trying. You know, we'll have you back in November. But yeah, Marvin, where can they find you and your work?
So the link there, that's not a link, it's just the Comicsburg. So comicsburg.com. From there, you can stretch out to the edgecomic.com, which then has all of my social information.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm JD Calderon, writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles, Tall Tales Online, and currently Dreamweavers, currently on Kickstarter. So go check that out. The links are in the show notes for both Marvin's book, my book. So go check those out. Thank you so much. Just remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night. And we will be back next week with our regularly scheduled program. And we'll have JD will be back. Not like anybody cares. But, you know, we'll have a bunch of other really cool guests on. So thank you so much, everybody. And have a good night.